Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rage. We are back today with Marvel Strike Force's newest blog post here, giving us the update, respectively, what's happening with Battleworld and everything that's changed, guys. So it's a pretty meaningful update here because they've gone through basically the entirety now of all the changes, and it does seem like it's going to be overall better. What I also like is that they actually have one of the game designers working on MSF writing this blog here, so you get a little bit of a different perspective from his eyes. But obviously, I love the engagement they're getting, and they're still giving them a chance to kind of speak from their own experience as well. So this new Marvel Strike Force Battle World is going to be called Sentry City. As you can see, very similar structure. It looks like throughout the duration of this event, it's going to be typically through a week. There will be different zones that get opened up dependent on the completion of the waves. And then ultimately at the very end, we are going to be faced with the final Battle World boss being Sentry there. So similar to the previous Battle World, Sentry City is going to be a series of 3 zones, culminating in an epic boss encounter, which we just talked about. And what's interesting with him now is that he does have a counterpart called the Void, right? So we're going to be facing both versions of Sentry, which is really cool. And then once again, the Alliance is going to be earning these victory points along the way to actually partake, and then face Sentry at the very end as the first and final boss. So first, Battle World should be a strongly thematic feature as you work through your way towards a powerful enemy boss. We know that's the case. Secondly, they want Battle World to be a feature where individual effort leads to collective progress, which we know is the case because obviously the Alliance is going to be working together on this, even though it's a PvE mode. And that's typically what we've seen in kind of similar kind of Battle World game modes in other games, right? But only thing was that the first time this was released, it was kind of a missed note that didn't resonate with folks. So I'm hoping these changes are going to be able to, give us fun content, but at the same time rewarding as well. And that's really the goal here, right? At the end of the day, this should actually result in shards for Sentry, who's going to be a very powerful character joining Marvel Strike Force. So that's kind of what we saw with Null as well. And then they do intend that Battle World can be a feature where alliances focused only on earning boss shards aren't penalized by missing out on progress. So I think they've tried to do a better way of just kind of balancing an opportunity for even smaller alliances that maybe they may be not as engaged, right, or as competitive as the larger alliance. So they did say here that there was an issue with the attempt system. You can only attempt the mission a set number of times before you can't try anymore, while they are actually going to be locking out characters. So that's something a little different that we haven't seen, unless, it's similar to that mechanic where you use a character and it's one and done, right? In Sentry City, all combat missions will have a very important change. Success or failure in a combat mission will not lock that character from being used in all other missions. So that means now that we can use a different character in a different game mode, in a different zone for this event, which is very different from what we saw. They're also increasing the attempts across the board. They're not sure yet, but they're going to be giving us more opportunities to attack, which is really cool. So that way people can actually just go ahead, and I think that's going to be very beneficial for the smaller alliances, right? The ones that aren't as efficient, and obviously we were only limited to 3 attempts as well, and that's going to be the pivot there. So you can see here in the zone, guys, it is a bit of a different structure here. You can see, they've added more of these missions, so these standard ones, in addition to the purple ones, one being called the Elite Mission. And then we also have another one that's called the Chaos Mission, which actually specifically features a Chaos team. And then there is more details on that. But yeah, as you can see, guys, it's across the board. It's going to be Mystic, Mutant, Villain. And then it also takes advantage of what's going on right now with the Aegis, so that's why it requires both Quasar or Blastar. So we know it's going to likely feature the 3rd legendary character coming up after chapter 2 here, the finale and whatnot. So that's really exciting. What I also like is with the Elite missions anyways, it features some of the strongest characters or teams, which in this case is Fantastic Four MCU or the newly announced Brimstone team. So definitely cool. This is interesting because let's talk about that Quasar Blastar node being the time mission. Essentially completing a series of waves in under 90 seconds, only possible because neither character is locked out if you fail. And again, once again, if you win, the mission will close itself as a normal because you've successfully defeated it. So all missions are going to be awarding that same victory points of 1,000. Total required to advance is 5,000, allowing smaller alliances to make progress. So I really like that aspect there. And then they also touch on real quickly here the Elite missions, right? In Elite missions, they require Brimstone or one other team, which in this case we saw was Fantastic Four. However, what's interesting with Brimstone is that they don't actually have Battle World callouts. That's why we can never really see if they were going to be a Battle World team. Instead, and then going forward in the future, they're going to be adding these combat mods. So they do have some of them listed here where you can see those specific team members actually getting those benefits there from the combat mod. So this is where they're going to make things a little bit interesting in that sense there. So, and again, lastly, there is going to be one more mission type called the Chaos mission. And then the characters you use here is going to periodically change. It's not asking you to solve a challenging, it is asking you to solve a challenging mission with new subset characters, encouraging theory crafting. So you would have to filter in your roster what that's going to be, but typically they try to feature one of the newer teams, which in this case, as you can see, it's going to be the Insidious 6. And on top of that, it's going to be Sinister 6 there with Quasar. So they want to allow some opportunities there for theory crafting and those to get creative, right? So that's why they did that there. And as you can see, both Quasar and Blastar are going to continue to have future value, which is really, really cool. So again, this featured Chaos team is going to be Insidious, plus some Sinister 6 elements. And as you can see, even Quasar was actually included there. So last but not least, a little bit of information on the boss here. They said that they've removed the character lockup from combat missions, and it's going to be still present for the boss. So the best strategy would still be to attack Sentry 3 times in a row with your best team. But again, this is where the lockout feature does kick in, which is you can't really use your same team again. You're going to have to be using different ones. Defeated characters in a boss battle are also still subject to the one use per day rule. So plan your boss squads accordingly. And then secondly, as they would know, the Sentry boss fight will also have a 5-minute timer. So that's just more of the mechanics. That way they're not going in an infinite circle when they're fighting here. And then lastly, they do talk really quickly here about Astral. Astral's still the go-to Battle World team, but they're not going to be as powerful as they're not going to be the best team now against Sentry. So they're the go-to against Null. But just because they're good against Null doesn't mean that they're going to be good against other future Battle World bosses. So it was finally great to get that confirmation there. And then lastly, Brimstone, as the new team for Sentry, is going to be very, very powerful against the boss, just as it is, or in addition to the rest of Sentry City. So really, really good for us to know. So TLDR, they did give us a nice little snapshot summary here. Don't panic. Character lockout is gone from zones, still there for boss. Brimstone is the star team for Sentry, worth building up. And then finally, Chaos missions are meant to be mostly theory crafting, so don't worry if you can't or you don't want to do them. So that's kind of, it doesn't say on screen here, but, or maybe it did actually, let me double check. No, it didn't say on screen here that the Chaos mission was bonus, but it basically is, right? So focus on the other missions, the standard ones. The time one's interesting because you can obviously take advantage of the newer legendary characters. And then finally, the elite one is also going to give us, as you can see on screen there, it looks like ISO purple, guys. So you do want to focus on these elite ones. And thankfully, Brimstone is also part of that option, guys. So there you have it. Lots of a slew of changes for Battle World coming up very soon. We don't expect this to be next week because they would have added that date here, or heck, maybe we see something in the blog today. But regardless, it's probably coming in a couple weeks here. I'm definitely pumped. The last thing they didn't touch on was the future of Null and how his shards are going to be kind of kept in this Battle World. Maybe they're doing a separate one or a different version of Battle World to feature Null. We'll see in the meantime, guys. But do let me know down in the comments below. Are you guys pumped? Are you guys not? Are you excited for this? And what are you planning to do with these resources if you're not playing Battle World? In addition to that, or were these changes enough? That is what I'm thinking, right? Hopefully it is. We'll see in the meantime when we get to play it. Thank you, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.